Hello, fabulous Gemini. Welcome to your Jupiter special horoscope, covering Jupiter moving into the sign of Libra from September 2016 to October 2017. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. Before I take you forward, I'm going to take you back a little bit, take you back to 2012, 2013, the summer of 2012. Into the summer of 2013, you had Jupiter moving through your sign. Jupiter was moving through your sign, and that was when ideas, aspirations started to come forward. And that was when you started to connect to a spirit that knew that you could have more, that you could be more, that you could do more. It tends to be a time when you see yourself more lovingly, more expansively, and it tends to be a time when Jupiter's in your sign that some real karmic gains are made, but they tend to be very personal. That's the thing with Jupiter moving through your particular sign. So fast forward to right now, or let's go a little bit further along in the journey since that time. Since that time, you had Jupiter in your sign, you moved forward, you started thinking about issues of self-worth. How are you thinking? What are you perceiving as you look at the world and interact, and what do you know? And over the course of this last year, some of the main areas of life that you've been focused on is foundations. How is the ground on which you stand? Is it strong? Is it ground from which you can build something admirable and something that you can really be proud of? Now, this for some people has to do with dealing with family issues. So if you're one of those people, like a whole lot of us are, there are some family issues that maybe needed forgiveness, maybe needed to be further understood, maybe needed some healing. You've done some powerful understandings, and powerful gains in those regards have come about for you over the course of this last year. For others out there, this tends to be understanding where you live and the importance of where you are in terms of where you live. And for others still, this has to do with the past. Where have you been? And understanding it from a more loving perspective. Well, now that you know where you're standing, now that you've dealt with past issues, you've had whatever forgiveness needs to happen, you've worked on the foundation of whatever it is that you desire to do, whatever inspiration came about, further understanding, built the foundation that you will now make gains from. You will now go forward. So astrologically speaking, when you look at the sky, half of the sky, the wheel, right? Mini astrology lesson here, but half the sky is what we call setting. The other half is what we call rising. So what that means is, once you pass the midheaven, the very top of the sky, the planets traveling around the zodiac appear to be traveling in a downward motion. And this is, as it sounds, the energy going inward and coming to a deepening understanding of self. Then you pass the IC, right? You enter the very base of the chart. You start thinking about what it is that you are building, and you start to rise from here, what we call rising. The planets start rising. So this is the first point where the planet moves beyond just being at the base of the chart, the very bottom of the chart, and starts actually changing your life for the better. And this is where some of the rewards start to come for the work that you've done, whether past issues, the work that you've done, whether it has to do with seeing yourself more lovingly and resolving your past, resolving the decisions you made, seeing the wisdom in them, but also maybe the work that you've done just in terms of where you live and being at peace with it, being grateful for the space that you find yourself in, making it a space that feels comfortable, and also feeling more comfortable in your own body, in your own skin. Now, for some people out there, that can be the work of a lifetime. I think that's very true in our modern world. But having said that, you have come a far way in that understanding and in those lessons. And this is where the payoff starts. And it isn't just going to be this year that the payoff comes, but the payoff is going to continue for years to come. In fact, this is where you start seeing the first evidence of the strength, the self-knowledge, the healing that you've put into place. This is where the fruits of it begin to show, but they will fully actualize just a little bit further down the road once we have Jupiter reaching the very top of your sky. And of course, I'll be here to talk about it then. That's a little bit further down the road, about 5 signs ahead down the road. But like I said, I'll be here to talk about it then. But this is a very important part of the process, an incredibly important part of the process, because this is where you tap into a spirit of joy, a spirit of fun, a spirit of knowing, connecting to a knowledge that there is something within you that is worthy of shining, that is worthy of being seen. This is where you come out of the shadows and start to play. In fact, you value play as a way of creating greater happiness, of course, greater love, and greater abundance in very practical terms. So, like I said in the introduction video, before we get you there, there is going to be a little bit of a learning curve. So just be aware of that. Before we get you there, we are going to have Jupiter speaking with Pluto in the fall, okay? This moment has to happen before Jupiter starts having supportive conversations with Saturn and especially with Uranus. So it's almost like the whole fear, the whole extent of the intensity of your wants, of your desires, of your hopes need to come to the surface so that you can really face where it is that, whether it's personal blocks, whether it is some belief, whether it is you that needs to fully own that part of you that knows that you are worthy. Fully owning that so that you can transcend it, so that you can move beyond it and start to make some very tangible gains. So there are a few ways, practical ways that this energy is going to help you out, how Jupiter is going to help bring blessings into your life. So there's a few of them. So we're going to go through them, okay? One of them, love. Yes, this is one of the greatest placements you're going to find for finding someone that you consider the love of your life. In fact, it is not uncommon for people to find somebody, if you're open to meeting someone new, connecting with somebody, and almost randomly, almost by chance, but finding that right connection, that perfect connection just shows up for you. And it can absolutely manifest to more, especially considering the fact that Jupiter will speak with Saturn in your opposite sign, and Jupiter will stand across Uranus as well. So there are a few ways that this can play out. First of all, normally Jupiter moving through this part of the sky is just fun, right? But the fact that Saturn is there, the fact that there are breakthroughs promised with this and stabilizing breakthroughs promised with this does suggest that if you're open to meeting someone new, this is the kind of energy that can have you connecting with somebody very quickly, but it being something solid, it being something that lasts, it being something that feels like this is the right relationship for you. And having it be something that absolutely can manifest into a committed long-term relationship that could last for an extended period of time, if not the rest of your life. I mean, this is the kind of sky that we see that breaks barriers and leaves the past behind towards a future that feels strong and that feels stable and feels much more secure. Now, as I said, you are going to have that moment. I see all Geminis out there needing to have a moment where you sort of have to face your own fears and your own insecurities around that. And so it is possible, in all honesty, as I look at this, I do think that this is going to be part of a process. And because of the way that Jupiter is speaking with Pluto, it's almost as if, and this type of situation, you're going to notice this particular energy seems to be especially heightened as we move into the late part of the fall. The mid to late fall is when this energy is really building. But as I look at this, it does suggest that if I'm going to be straightforward here, it is possible that you'll attract somebody. It's possible that you think that this is it. It's also possible that that person is, whether it's you that gets obsessive or they get obsessive, whether it is that this person really is not the right person for you and is playing some games, there's a small possibility that that could be the situation. And I share that with you to be on the lookout and to know that just because one person comes up and it doesn't seem to be working out, trust that, because it isn't just going to be like one moment and that's it, your window is gone. But rather you're going to have several moments coming up. But as part of that, you've sort of got to have an experience, whether it's personal, whether it's with another person. You have to have an experience where you see some of yourself and you see what it is that you now desire to transcend, you desire to move beyond, if you're going to have the kind of grown-up love that you truly desire. So there it is possible, a very strong pull of fate towards someone who is wildly inappropriate in some cases, might be really not the right choice. But you feel it, there's a lesson there, so trust that, but also do what's smart, do what's right for you. And know that every experience is preparing you for the next and for the next. And regardless of what happens with that particular person, there are going to be other opportunities there. And the promise is there to have a genuine connection with someone. Now, this energy could also say you needing to kind of purge yourself of your disappointments of the past, of the games of the past that either you've played or someone else played with you, as you decide that you're going to leave that behind and move forward from there. So you are in some way putting what has happened in love and dating behind you so that you can move towards a love that is going to be more stable and more of an awakening, a pleasant awakening. And that awakening may happen with a friend or through a friend. So a friend may very well be the person who facilitates that connection, or it is a friend that becomes more thanks to this celestial conversation. If you are in an established bond, this is some super romantic energy, and it's super fun energy as well. So there's going to be a desire to enjoy life. There's going to be a desire to have fun, to live it up, and with your partner as well, to share those experiences, very heart-based experiences with them. This can also be heightened fertility, right? Like sometimes, you feel so much love, and even though you want something or you don't, it works or it doesn't. What I mean by that is, maybe you're now at a point in your life where you're not even thinking about having children or having more children. Maybe you're now at a point in your life where that isn't part of your path, regardless of how old you may be. But then, sometimes love kicks in. And you love somebody and you look at them and you feel like, oh, I love you so much. I just want little yous walking around. I just want a little you. Like, it happens. When love can make all the things you think about yourself kind of go out the window. And that can be fun and that can be temporary, right? But don't be surprised if you find yourself feeling that way, whether it's with someone new or in an established bond. If all of a sudden you find these instincts kicking up that make you feel like you want to have a child, it is possible, okay? With this kind of energy, it is absolutely possible. It could be inconvenient, and it shows up for you and it's like, oh my God, what are we gonna do? And then things work out. But this could also be very intentional. Like if you know that you want that as part of your life, that you want children, this particular energy can absolutely help you to make that realized. You may come across some resistance at first, so just be aware of that. But then as we move to the end of the year, and particularly as we move into 2017, there's lots of windows there for getting the right advice and experiencing absolute breakthroughs. And for some people, there might be some medical assistance involved in that, but there's absolutely, huge, wonderful turnarounds possible in that area of life. And don't surprise yourself if you have always been one of those people who did not want children, and now you find yourself thinking like, maybe I do want that. Is that possible? Is it not? Is it something I want to pursue? And all of this ultimately is designed to help you to understand how much love you have to give, regardless of where you go with it. How much love you have to give is going to be very much to the surface. Speaking of children, if you have children, this is a great sort of celestial aspect for children to come about, or for children to have very positive forward momentum come about for them. So what I mean by that is if there's been any questions, any uncertainty, any trying to figure out how to help your child, how to be with your child, how to feel a better connection to your child, if there's been any of that, which can happen more often when your kids are between a certain age than others. But if there's been any of that, no worries, because this can really help the situation. But first, as I said, just be mindful in the fall, there's that resistance coming up, okay? Because Jupiter's going to speak with Pluto. So it's almost like an awareness that needs to happen of where help needs to be given, what kind of help, how it is that you need to approach the situation differently, how you could approach the situation to allow meaningful change and meaningful healing to take place. but all around, and especially once we move into 2017, good news all around where it comes to your children, whether it's related to their education, whether it's related to their health, whether it's related to their overall well-being, all of this. And also you should start seeing with a sky like this, your children sort of showing their more positive, more optimistic side. And also what can happen as well with energy like this is that children start being a lot more clear about what they sort of have a drive towards, what talents, what interests they are likely to have, and where it is that they can develop these to create an even happier, more prosperous future for themselves. So you can expect to see a little bit of that as well. This part of the sky also has to do with creativity. It's great if you're an artist of any kind. So if you are an artist or you bring a spirit of creativity to whatever it is you do, right? This can be an amazing energy for that. And it can be an energy that can have you putting something together that really creates a name for you and that has the potential of turning your fortunes to your advantage. In fact, this is the same part of the sky that also represents going from rags to riches. And I'll talk more about that in just a minute. But first, let me talk about the creative part of it, because it is your creativity that may very well be the thing that can change your life dramatically and change your life very much for the better. With this given energy, if you are involved in terms of your creativity, if you're an artist, you should notice yourself making advances. Now, do keep in mind, again, in the fall, we have you coming up to a moment, sort of one of those, facing your fears kind of moment, intense moments. And I gotta say also, as I'm looking at this, I'm reminded of, I remember Chris Rock in an interview, him saying that, people ask him sometimes, oh, what are you gonna do if somebody steals your jokes? How do you feel about people stealing your jokes? And he said, what are you gonna do with them? You want them? Here, take them. Now what are you gonna do with them? And what he meant by that is, it's not just about the material, right? It's not just about what he's writing on a sheet of paper. It's about so much more. It's about what he's bringing, the energy, the preparation, and all his experience to that moment. And it's about knowing that there are certain things that only you can do. There's a uniqueness to what you put forward that is all of it, right? And it's not just about one thing. It's not just about the joke, but it's about the entire package and the entire heart, all of you that you bring to that moment, all of you that you represent, and how you carry that forward. And as I look at this, you might have one of those moments where it's a little bit like, oh my God, I had that idea and now it's out there. Or that should be me. That might be there a little bit, okay? And that's about you, small percentage of you out there, and that's about you looking at it, healing it, dealing with it, so that you can fully recognize all it is that you bring. And I'll tell you, if that should be the situation, it won't even matter. In 2017, it will be so irrelevant because you are moving forward from that. And even though there's some feelings there and some intensity of feelings there that you may have to deal with in regards to that, in regards to feeling safe to create, at the same time, you are making moves and you are making gains, and they are based on what you uniquely offer. And it isn't what you think. It's about all of you. It isn't just about the art or the lyric or the word that you put on paper. It's about all that you bring to that moment, and it's about all that you are representing through that art form. And so having confidence in that, and that's what I mean when I say knowing that there's something within you that is worthy of shining and being seen. Finally, I promised you guys rags to riches. This is the lottery. This is the same part of the sky that represents the lottery. So if there's ever gonna be a good time, and especially with a sky like this, make sure you are buying your lottery ticket. It'll be a while before you see something like this. Now, all else being equal, right? Because we tend to see some other things happening as well, but this is one of the very textbook things that do suggest you could go from rags to riches. Your lottery ticket may be a lottery ticket, but it may also be your own creativity being the key to helping you to turn your life around dramatically so. And especially where it comes to a passion, because the same part of the sky has to do with what you're passionate about, and having a business and your prosperity come from that place of passion. So if that is something that you are pursuing, if that is a direction in which you are going, then you are going to find lots of cosmic support to make huge gains in turning your passion, turning what it is that you really want to do, turning what it is that's fun for you into your source of prosperity. And in some cases, truly great prosperity at that. Well, thank you so much for being here, for watching this special horoscope. I'm so grateful for it. Wish you all good things. It'll be a great year. Enjoy. And until we connect again, take care.